Mom.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes, Tori.
What happened? I can't move my head. This is bad. And then came literally the most peaceful moment of my entire life. I know where I'm going. My mom always says that God gripped my heart at a young age. And that kind of carried with me throughout schooling and kind of gave me purpose.
Tori Collar grew up in Northern Virginia, playing sports and going to church with her family.
Grew up in a Christian household, and I've known the Lord since I was 6, is when I was saved. I knew that I loved Jesus and that he wasn't just a person up in the clouds to me. Have 2 siblings, younger brother and younger sister. Brother's 2 years younger and sister's 5 years younger than me. I pretty much took on a typical older child role in a way. My mom, when I was little, was like, you were mommy's helper and you wanted your siblings to do what was right and, and all of those things.
Hi, Mommy, love you.
We were close on and off. We fought like normal siblings do. But whenever they were in need or upset, I usually kind of took it upon myself to go and make things right. One of the big trials, I think, surrounded my brother. He had ADHD and was diagnosed with depression and went down the path of cutting himself. And he was bullied throughout his time during school as well, starting in 5th grade. And so his 9th grade year, he actually told some of the counselors at school that he was going to take his life. And at that point, my parents decided to pull him out of school and begin homeschooling him. That kind of shook us up a lot. And we knew that he struggled, but I think to that point, it was alarming.
Soon after hearing the news, Tori would have a heart-to-heart talk with her brother Bobby. They would talk about life, love, and faith.
What's going on? Like, are you okay? And he was like, Tori, I just want to feel loved. And I was like, okay, like, what do you mean? You are loved. Like, Dad loves you, Mom loves you. Like, these are examples of how many people love you and how they love you. And he stopped me. I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was just like, no, I want to feel loved the way that your boyfriend loves you. And I was like, man, how do I explain to you that you don't need that it is awesome and it is good, but it is not necessary to be happy, to be joyful in life, and that God is really the only one that provides that. I prayed for him at the end of that, and we both cried, and I left and said goodnight. The next day was a Monday. He had been walking our dogs, and he came in the house, and I was like, hey, Bobby, and he said hey and walked upstairs, and that was the last time I talked to him. About 30 minutes later, and my mom knocked on his door, and he wasn't answering. My dad came rushing up the stairs and broke the door down, and all of us were there, and they looked in his closet, and my mom turned around and looked at me, and I'll never forget her face. I knew exactly what had happened, and he had taken his life.
Hey, I'm gonna play a new song I wrote called Special to Me. I'd like to dedicate this song to my brother, Bobby Collar.
Just 6 months after Bobby's death, Tori would begin her college soccer career at Liberty University.
There's definitely a lot of guilt, especially for my little sister. Felt really bad. did debate, should I leave and move home for her?
Ultimately, Tori would stay at Liberty, and her role with the team would evolve. As the backup goalkeeper, she may not have been starting, but she was growing into a leader.
I led chapel with Liberty, and truthfully, a lot of times it wasn't just for them, it was for me. I was mad at God for a long time. I hid it. Nobody at church knew, nobody in my youth group, my family didn't necessarily know, but I was mad at God. I started to realize I wasn't just a soccer player. That's not who I was. I was first a child of God, and after that, everything else.
It was August 29th, 2017. Tori was driving this stretch of road in Southern Virginia when she slammed into an embankment, causing her car to flip multiple times. An accident so horrid, few could believe she even survived.
I remember through the first flip. I don't remember anything after that until I was waking up in the car. I remember my head was drooped and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna move my head and I'm gonna pick it up and put it on the headrest behind me. And on the count of 3, I put my palm on my head, my forehead, and picked it up and ended up leaning it on the roof of the car that was there. And I was like, okay, God, I don't know how this is gonna work out, but I know you're in control and I'm gonna trust you and I'm gonna do whatever you want me to do in this.
Tori was quickly transported to a nearby hospital, where initial x-rays and scans revealed that her neck was severely damaged.
I had broken my C1 vertebrae on 3 sides in 4 places, and if you break it on all 4 sides, the medical terminology is internal decapitation.
Open your eyes.
That was really hard. I knew I was saying goodbye to soccer as soon as they told me my neck was broken.
I love you.
And they put me in the brace and were just, hey, treat this as a cast. You're gonna sleep with it on, you're gonna shower with it on. The only time it comes off is after the shower. Your mom needs to hold your head to stabilize it, and your sister will, or your dad or someone will change out the brace.
I see His love and mercy.
About 3.5, 4 weeks into having the brace on, I begged my parents to go back down to Liberty to be with my teammates, and they let me somehow.
After 3 months, the brace would come off, and Tori slowly began a workout routine again. She even started playing some soccer, but she had a sense something was still wrong.
Did not feel like my neck was stable. It felt like I was a bobblehead, and my head would shift, like I could feel it shift at certain points.
Tori would go back to the doctor and have new images taken, but what the specialist found would leave everyone stunned.
He looked at me and was like, I don't know how you're walking around right now. Your bones are still broken. Your main ligaments are completely torn. Most of your tendons are messed up and gone. The only things that are holding your head together right now are a couple of small tendons, scar tissue, and muscle. There is nothing else there. You should have died in the accident, bare minimum, been a quadriplegic. And if you weren't then, you should have been sometime in the past 8 months. We're gonna do a spinal fusion and fuse the base of your skull down to your C2. It was a very dangerous surgery because he's operating right at the base of my brainstem. Based on how my arteries were, if he hit an artery, I could have a stroke on the table and die.
The 6-hour surgery was a success. Grafts from Tori's hip were used to fuse the bones together, but movement of her neck would still be limited.
I would have 50% mobility for the rest of my life, side to side, and then up and down. I could pretty much do anything I wanted other than head a soccer ball, and should not take up boxing as a sport, and that was about it.
Since graduating from Liberty, Tori has worked for the Charlotte Eagles, a soccer ministry based in North Carolina, and currently works as an assistant coach at High Point University.
Here we go, Nat. Here we go, Nat. Come on.
It was exciting to me. At the same time, it was kind of ironic that it was High Point because my 5 years at Liberty, High Point were our rivals.
What do we need to change? Here we go.
So I now work for the enemy, and it's been great.
One or the other, take a step forward. But you can stay if you want to. Okay.
Now being in a coaching role,
Ooh, good. Way to move your feet.
getting to have been in players' roles who are not playing or injured and who are longing to be on the field, I definitely feel like I am able to speak into them in a way that a lot of college coaches and a lot of people don't have the opportunity to because they haven't lived it as much.
Yeah, better. Nice job.
And I definitely feel like that is something the Lord has blessed me in a weird way, because I get to connect with those players in a way that I wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Made it. Good job, guys.
I think for me, even now, as I drive past, I'll often shout just Jesus' name or whisper it as a thank you, realizing like God saved my life here and he did a miracle, and I need to remember that because he still does those and he still can.